positivity, or looking for encouragement. Temia Brinson aims to educate you, to give you the push to believe, to have the mindset for success. Mindset for success. To have the mindset for success. To have the mindset for success.
Welcome to the Mindset for Success TV show. I'm Temia Brinson, your host, and our guest today is Ruby Warthen. She's an evangelist, been in the ministry for over 50 years. She's also the founder of Widows Among Us, the Esther Ministries. And we also have our guest today, Russell Drake. He is with us. He is a community advocate and public speaker. He's also the CEO and founder of Build Black Daily. So, Russell and Ruby Warthen, welcome to the show again. So glad to have you.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Awesome.
Yes. Good
Awesome.
morning. Happy Juneteenth weekend.
Right, Juneteenth. That's what we're going to talk about today. Juneteenth. While you're on location, Russell, what's going on today? I know
Yes.
you're in Orlando and they have a lot of activities. What's going on today? I see you at one of them.
Yes, there are probably about 20 different activities in the Metro Orlando area, ranging from Sanford to Kissimmee to Orlando, the Washington Shores. So I'm out here in the Washington Shores community. They have an event going on, enlightening people about Juneteenth, fellowshipping. There's an event at Barnett Park that Omega Psi Phi is hosting, where they'll be passing out literature, informing people about the history of Juneteenth. Actually, I even have a self-penned poem I'll be performing a couple of places. There's the city of Orlando has something nice going on at Lake Lorna Doone, which is going to be really nice and beautiful. In Kissimmee, they have something going on. I'm gonna tell you what. State Representative Annie Escamani has a wonderful rundown of all the events that are going on for the day on her
Okay.
websites.
All right.
And then there's even something going on in St. Cloud, a movie later today. There's a block party downtown that's going to go on off Wall Street in the downtown area from 1 to 9 o'clock tonight. At Dexter's on the west side of Church Street, just west of Amway. There's I think some Juneteenth awards going on this evening. So
Oh, wow.
there is a plethora of stuff going on. You can just Google Juneteenth in your area in Central Florida, Orlando, and a lot of stuff comes up. And it's a blessing. It is the first time this is a national holiday, and we get to celebrate it. So we
Hmm.
got to embrace it, and not let these culture vultures come out here and take the holiday that was established to commemorate our ancestors, acknowledging their freedom and the official ending of slavery in 1865.
All right. All right. I hear that. All right, so you guys in the area go out and participate as soon as we're done here. And then also, our title today, we're talking about Juneteenth, right? Juneteenth is the oldest known celebration honoring the end of slavery in the US, in the United States, right? But let me pose this question. Did slavery truly end? Are we really free? That's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about it. Did slavery truly end? And are we really free? You guys go ahead and like and share, like and share. Text someone and let them know that we are on the air and we're celebrating and talking about Juneteenth today. Tag someone and let them know to tune in. All right. So talking about Juneteenth, uh, Ruby Warren, the evangelist Ruby, let me go to you because a lot of people don't know. They know you as my favorite aunt, but you were over there in Tulsa, in over there with the Black Wall Street, all of that history over there. Um, Following the issuing of the Emancipation Proclamation, right, January the 1st, 1863. Um, not all enslaved people were immediately found freed, right?
Right.
It was Emancipation Proclamation, but everybody wasn't free. Okay, the proclamation freed slaves in the United States, but that was, the Union troops. They operated in states that gave teeth to the proclamation, but the Southerners, they held on to that, and they started doing their own local their local let me say, miscarries of justice. So, are we really free today? Is what I want to post a question to you, because even though the Emancipation Proclamation was carried out, that was an order that was done, do it seem like we're still free? Just back looking at history, just as it was then, that they were free on paper, but it took a while for them to actually be free. It seems like it's the same thing today. On paper, we're free, but as far as economics, even in we're going to talk about incident that happened in Sanford over here, but even in as far as how we're perceived, as less human being, we're still not free. So how do you feel about that?
Um, well, I thought about the scripture that says, "He that the Son sets free is free indeed." And so I think that I know what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying. It seems that we're free on paper, but not free indeed. I heard Bishop Jakes preach a sermon one time, and he says, if a prisoner can escape prison, but when he gets on the outside, he's free, but he's not free indeed, because he's
Mhm.
constantly looking over his shoulders, and there's always a threat of him being captured and put back in prison. So he's free in that he got out of the prison, but in his mind, he's not really free, because he's not free indeed, because he still is, looking out for the police to capture him, or trying to escape being captured. And so we as a people have come a very long way, and but we still have a long way to go. And
Mhm.
God is just like pulling back the covers and just letting us see a lot of things, that injustices that have been done, that have been swept under the carpet, or whether you know, they haven't gotten any really, they haven't really been held accountable for their actions.
Right.
I'm speaking of police now. They haven't always been held accountable for their actions, and sometimes um, the leaders or whatever just look the other way. And we know that there's still, in 2022, there's still a lot of injustice toward our people, a lot of prejudice. So I think that we're
Mhm.
free to an extent, but I think that we still have a long way to go, because there's still a lot of undercover stuff that's going on that we don't know about. But thank God for cameras and videos that's being captured. These injustices and crimes are being captured on video these days. So
Mhm.
that was just like, oh, that's just like very valuable to us. And then we look at the George Floyd case. It was right there on video, the whole thing. So it was no denying what happened. And
Right.
so consequences had to be paid, because this is America. And that's one thing about Black folks. We're going to protest, and I thank God that we're doing it more peaceably now than what we have done
Mhm.
in the past. And like I said, we made great strides, but we still have a ways. I think we still have a ways to go.
Right. And Russell, what do you think? The Emancipation Proclamation was ordered, but not, so to speak, carried out for a while. I mean, a
Yeah.
while. They were, um, on paper, they were free on paper, but not necessarily free. And it seems like, Russell, it seems like that's the same thing today. Like we're free on paper, but not necessarily free, truly free. As Evangelist Warthen stated. Oh, that is lovely. So what do you think
Yeah.
about that, Russell?
I do think that the original intent was to have Black persons in bondage. As we know in the Constitution, Blacks are viewed initially as 3/5 of a person. Up until the Emancipation Proclamation. The Emancipation Proclamation freed those that were enslaved in Confederate states. That's what it initially did. So it freed those in there, and the evangelist is absolutely correct. Up until spreading the word, there was no website, there was no social media, there was no live streaming. It was snail mail. So it took General Granger to go issue General Order Number 3 in Galveston, Texas, last on June 19th, 1865. The interesting thing, I think, as we talked about last month, is on May 20th, 1865, is when a similar order was given in Florida, so slaves in Florida to know they're free.
Right.
And yes, and so I do think we're free, and I celebrate this as Freedom Day this weekend, needing to be acknowledged, a celebration of resilience and overcoming oppression. But even still, as Evangelist pointed out, with the freedom, still comes liberties that we strive to access, certain rights, that unalienable rights, endowed by the Creator as defined in the U.S. Constitution, that we get penalized for being afforded from everything, from the right to vote. Peacefully, up until the Voting Rights Act in 1967, people couldn't even vote without having tests and things put against them. There were Jim Crow laws that took things away. Talked about the burning down of Black Wall Street only 101 years ago. No inheritance, no wealth regain, no life insurance policies, and to be honest, that's why so many Blacks are only 1 to 2 generations away from poverty, right? I mean, it's mostly economic in the end, and I'm not talking about those living in gutters. I'm talking about the people that work every day that are still poor, living below the poverty line, not able to provide, especially right now. So we do still have a ways to go and things to do. I wouldn't say now we're not enslaved, because we ain't following no master, nobody whipping us, stuff like that. All that's done. Some people may feel it that way, especially looking from the terrible incident that happened in Sanford. And you're like, what? He's like, are you serious? Yo, it's 2022, not 1822, not 1922. That's unacceptable right now. Completely unacceptable. And they, again, folks try to cover it up, folks excusing them. Governor mute silent about it, like he's silent about everything else that's relevant. So yeah, we see the stuff. We're starting to see now more. There's systematic oppressions out there, and we do have ways to get over it outside of physical force. Suing and litigation and videotaping this stuff is our strongest tool. So we do have advocates like Attorney Ben Crump, who's now basically the Attorney General for Black America. We have people that have made some breakthroughs in legislation, and there's a dog barking that doesn't like me. See, and we get that still too. We get, there's some that argue some of these dogs are trained not to like Black people, right? Systematically, historically been trained that way. But because we have these negative entities, I don't think that necessarily means we should feel enslaved or in bondage nor inferior. We know that there are opportunities. We know we can excel. We know we can overcome things. Such has been done. The Bible even speaks of so many times of oppression that people have to overcome it. Everybody from Moses to David to Daniel. I mean, anybody of value in the Bible had to overcome something, some type of bondage. Now, where there is real life slavery right now in the United States is in prison. The 13th Amendment outlawed slavery for everybody, but it outlawed it for everybody except those in prison. Right. And that's where it's free labor. That's where they're getting abused. That's where they're getting pushed to do so much, and these private prisons are abusing the system. So we do have a problem with that, and I think that needs to be addressed. As well as we know overseas there is real life slavery that occurs in places like Asia and the Middle East. And yes, it's not our country, but it's occurring over there right now.
Right. Yeah, it's still occurring. And also, uh, I know you said you that we are free now, no longer slave. We're no longer slaves in the sense that they're not chaining us and beating us. But I still feel it's a certain economic slavery, and it's still that spirit of slavery in the sense of hate. And like Evangelist Warthen said, is that God is pulling the covers off because before, we didn't have video and all of that. Now he's pulling the covers off, and lots of stuff is being revealed. And people think, yeah, like you said, this is 2022, and it's no longer an issue. But God is pulling the covers off. Yeah, we still got a problem here. Yeah, it might not be as widespread, but it's still here. You know, so we're gonna have to deal with that. Let me just read. You touched on it. General Order number 3. Because I'm going somewhere. Let me just read this. It says the people of Texas are informed that in accordance with the proclamation from the executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former slaves, former masters and slaves, and the connection here to existing between them becomes that between the employer and hired labor. And basically, you know, it was at the point where they were supposed to be hired labor and not considered slaves. So even though African Americans are getting paid more and well today, it's still not equal in my eyes. The economic field is not the same. Evangelist Ruby Warthen, how do you feel about the economic aspect of this? Because again, I feel not so much slavery. I mean, we are slave to the dollar, but it's still not equal in terms of economics.
No, we can see this in a number of areas, where it's not equal in housing, you
Mhm.
know, in the workplace. Um, People of color, we don't get the same pay as other people for the same education and the same knowledge. Um, we're skipped over for promotions. I mean, a lot of different things go on that's still not equal and that's not fair. But uh, like like somebody said, a good education is they said the saying goes, a good education is a white man's worst nightmare. Is a black,
Mhm.
educated black people, and so that's what I think we have to do is keep pushing, keep striving, keep reaching for more. It's a lot better, but still there's a lot of prejudice going on, behind closed doors.
Right.
And I say behind closed doors because it is behind closed doors. A lot goes on that we don't know about. Um, well, and for instance, I know I was working on a job one time, and this supervisor, I mean, the manager wanted to promote this certain Caucasian woman to be a supervisor,
Mhm.
and he went to her and told her that if she put her name in, that he would make sure she got the position. And to me, that was very unfair because others put their name. See, so I'm talking about behind the scene. Others put their name in to be for that position, but
Mhm.
they didn't get it, and it was already prearranged from the beginning that she would get it, and she got it and stayed supervisor for many years. But I only know because she was telling it to a friend that the manager told her that if she said, well, I know that you and your husband, trying to buy a new home and everything, and I know this money would be good for you, and so I will make sure if you put your name in there that you'll get the position. Now she was qualified for the
Mhm.
position, but my point is there were others who were qualified for the position as well, who
Right.
should have been considered, but were not considered because this was already arranged ahead of time. And so it's things like that I'm talking about where you might not necessarily know about, but discrimination is still alive and well. It's still going on till this day. And, while I'm on it, I thank God for our president, Joe Biden, who made Juneteenth a federal holiday.
Mhm.
It just got around to that just last year. So, I thank God for that. We are making progress. We really are. And to me, Dr. King is like, he was like a Moses, And I think about in Exodus, the 12th chapter and around the 40th verse, it talks about how the children of Israel were um, slaves in Egypt. You see,
Mhm.
everything that happens in this life to us is already recorded in the Bible. There, like Solomon says, there is nothing new under the sun. So
Right.
slavery is not new. It existed in the book of Genesis, and I mean in the book of Exodus, where the children of Israel spent 430 years as slaves in Egypt, but the Lord delivered them. And to this day, they celebrate the Passover. It's when
Right.
God told them, yeah, to put the blood of the lamb on your doorpost. And when the death angel come through there, that he would pass over their household and they would be spared from death because they were killing all of that was the last plague. They were killing all of the firstborn male in Egypt. And
Mhm.
in order for God's people not to be caught up in that, he asked them to put the blood of a lamb on the doorpost, and I will pass over you. So that's where we get the term Passover. So
Right.
until this, and then they passed over again when they crossed the Red Sea, and
Mhm.
the Egyptians that followed them were drowned in the sea. Pharaoh and his army drowned in the sea that day, and so this holiday has been taught to Jewish children ever since because God said to teach it to your children. And that's what we need to do as well. We need to
I was
teach
gonna say,
we need to teach Juneteenth to our children so that
yeah,
they will.
and Evangelist Warthen, what you see the similarities with the history here with the Jews and then also with the African Americans, and
Yeah,
it took
absolutely.
a long time for them to be free. And it's this it's not a movement, it's dying out now, but I still want to address it. Um of where the Nation of Islam, not only the Nation of Islam, but because I have friends and so it's not against the nation, so to speak, because they have good people. And then also other religions that attack our God of Christianity and saying, why are
Mhm,
you following the white religion, the white man religion?
mhm,
Because God allowed you being slaves, you know. And my thing is that he also allowed for his own people to be in slavery. So that is a stronghold. It's a spirit, and you can't blame God for that. And but just like He freed them, He freed us, African
exactly.
Americans as well, and they celebrate their day of freedom. And so we are celebrating ours. We're just not getting to where we're celebrating ours. It was done in the past, but it was so to speak, I was reading in preparing for this, that it was a scatter period, because
Mhm,
when they all realized years later that they were free, and
mhm,
they were supposed to stay there with their masters and work for a hire, for an actual
mhm,
wage, even
mhm.
though they had that opportunity, it was a great scatter because they were looking for their family and to reconnect. And so the celebration of Juneteenth kind of like faded. But you mentioned Martin Luther King. It came back. I appreciate Biden, but It came back with Martin Luther King because he was so brilliant that he started the march in June on around Juneteenth. In that day, I mean, he's just so brilliant. I'm just when I read that, I was like, what? So it came back around that time, and just the brilliance of Dr. Martin Luther King planning that, and then he just resurrected the whole movement, and our history just came into fruition. It's just so amazing to me, and that's something that we just need to teach our young people and just keep it going. Russell, what do you think about that? First of all, I know you want to touch on the history and how Martin Luther King brought that back, but can you touch on the economic, I call it slavery, but disparities first, and then you can go into that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, on the economic disparities, economics is it, right? I mean, some would even argue that politics is how much and who gets it. And for so long, we weren't getting it. Freeing the slaves, even part of the Emancipation Proclamation, I think President Lincoln believed that slaves should be free. But on the same breath, what it did was crash the economy of the South. Slaves were viewed as property.
That's what it was
therefore
made.
Viewed as,
That's what designed for. Yeah.
Yes, viewed as they were assets. So these were assets. They couldn't afford to do things after they ended slavery. They had to. Now, what happens after that? The slave owners get paid reparations for the property they lost. They got reparations.
Yes.
President Lincoln guaranteed blacks 40 acres and a mule. What happens to his promise? He's not a vulture of his promise. The man gets killed before he can do it. He doesn't get killed for liberating the slaves. He gets killed because he's trying to give blacks 40 acres and a mule. This is why I contest when people say Lincoln it was in the Republican Party. There's not a Republican today who said let's honor the 40 acres and a mule that President Lincoln said that he wants to honor wants to go to black people.
But yeah, don't you hate that, Russell? It's not about party. Don't you hate when people bring that up? They were the South were Democrat and the Republican freed y'all. Like, dude, it has nothing to do with what party they're in. It has everything to do with righting the wrongs. Who cares what party they're a part of? We're talking about today.
Well, that's what I mean. It's all that's what I'm saying. Even if you're gonna call it partisanism and you say you're gonna be the party of Lincoln, then where's the 40 acres and a mule? Where's the what we call reparations that was never passed down? And when you don't have those reparations, that hurts for generations. See, these white families made money off the backs of black folks forever. Even all those buildings in the District of Columbia, none of them say who built the buildings because they was built by slaves. None of them say that though. You know, you know, on the cornerstone, it was built by this company. It doesn't say it was built by Slave John or Slave Leroy. It just says this is the Capitol building. It ain't built itself. What they think it is. This ain't the pyramids. Even the pyramids got stuff inscribed on who built it. We just can't read hieroglyphics.
And the pyramids was built by slaves too, by the way.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. Now the architecture of it, although there's some people out here in this replacement theory who are out here telling people that were white people that made the design for the pyramids. And I said, if that's so, why can't you build them right now? So we know that's a lie. So, but economically, yeah, we got a real problem with economic oppression. As you know, with Build Black Daily is an empowerment agency where we're empowering we're empowering communities overall with a thrust for supporting black and local businesses, but putting black earned dollars into black owned businesses more regularly. So it's not a mystery. And yes, I did a shirt change up because I felt I needed to wear this shirt when I was hearing the evangelist spit these wonderful words. I was like, you know what? I think people need to know that I'm still on the stance to protect black women. Yes, you are barking because I'm wearing a shirt, but it won't stop me. Oh, it won't stop me. I'm free now. So my ancestors took the burden for me. They did it. They were stronger than we'll ever be, but we got more opportunities right now than they had. And but if we don't hit the focus on that economics, And really we should there's a lot of stuff that's smoke screens, if you ask me. There's smoke screens, but we need to get to the economics of it. So I love to see what people are doing when commissioners are holding workshops to get people certified to have projects by the city or the county. I love it when
Yes.
I see people trying to help get appropriations from the state level or federal level or even the local level passed down to organizations. Not everybody's in position to get this stuff. See, this thing was gifted to people who were families, who were neighbors, who were friends, who were classmates for generations and generations. So this wealth was built over and over and over. And then when
Right.
we start getting a little piece of the pie, that's when people can't handle it. That's when you have people acting out in places like Buffalo, where shooters shooting and killing people in a black area and has on his gun, this is your reparations, because he knows we're old stuff. This is where you have
Okay.
101 years since the bombing of Black Wall Street. And right now they're still arguing, talking about they don't believe reparations should be paid because it's been so long. However, as you pointed out, Evangelist, in every community outside of Black, there have been reparations. There's do not forget. We must always cherish and remember the strife. We're just getting this acknowledged by Juneteenth. And it really all comes off the tragic deaths of the likes of George Floyd, murdered, a modern day lynching for the whole world to see, for people to see that discussed. It was so bad that even known white supremacists had to come out and say it was wrong.
Right.
You know, even in admitting how wrong it was, the police union up there had the audacity to try to give him a character assassination. And the man that put his knee on the neck for 9 minutes sat in the courtroom like he was innocent up until they said he was guilty. And he looked like, wait, me? Do y'all know I'm white? And you know, so much so, and it is economic. Because see, if we had a big base of economics united, they would not try our communities in such a fashion. They're saying, what are you gonna do? However, there's a grand respect for the Asian community who takes all their dollars, spends it in the same community, makes it in other communities, and keeps building up. There's a huge response now. We see the LGBTQ community rallying and putting their finances together and making solid stances, all united across the board. There's a bigger response, even up there with this Kyle Rittenhouse gets acquitted up in Wisconsin. The only reason it went to court is because the people he shot and killed were white. He didn't kill Black people. It was a Black protest, but he killed white people. That's why it went to court. And that's why people were kind of outraged about it, because it was white on white. If it had been Black and nobody had reported exactly what happened, this doesn't happen. I mean, the tragic murder of Ahmaud Arbery caught on tape for the most part. The tragic killing of George Floyd. Oh, hey, you done.
We don't really hear him.
Oh no, it's okay though. But see, that's the sternness that we have to tell people. That's really what it is. In this day and age, when I say if I do that here, I actually stand at 6'4", 260 pounds. I'm gonna lose 15 pounds though by 4th of July. But as I stand here, this build is intimidating to people in general. When I put my hands up like this, people say I'm a threat. If I move forward, they say, oh, you're aggressive. All I'm doing is putting my hands like this and moving forward and wearing a shirt that says protect Black women.
Right.
And now I'm the aggressor. I haven't even balled up. I haven't if I ball my fist up, they know something's gonna happen. So just picture our ancestors with their fists balled up like this. Every day they're getting whipped because they're scared of them. They're in bondage, but because their fists are up like this, they're worried about them. And they're worried, they're scared, they're shaking because they think one day those big fists are gonna break these chains and they're gonna come and they're gonna bash me down like I deserve to be because I've been abusing them for centuries. But we're past that. We're saying we're not about to bash it down. We just want the opportunities that's ours. So stop trying to strip these economic opportunities when people be it. Stop trying to say, oh, there's too much power in the household because we have somebody who's a mayor and he's married to a congresswoman, and that's too much power, when it was never too much power when your whole family done been in office for over a century. I mean, you look no further than Chicago. There was a mayor, a father and son who were mayor for half a century in Chicago, the Dailies. There was nobody saying there's too much power in that household or family. They're saying there's too much money in athletics only because these young brothers and sisters are doing their thing in the
Right.
NBA, the WNBA. They've been saying it for years in those in football and football as well, and basketball. But then when you look at it, they only started saying it in sports like tennis and golf when the Williams sisters and Tiger Woods come along. You know, the ego. Oh no, I can't believe that he's getting paid this much money. It's a shame, isn't it? But it was never a shame before. It's a shame because we're making money and we're empowering our communities and our families. And they accept a couple of billionaires like Michael Jordan. They accept Jay-Z. They're
Right.
accepting Oprah Winfrey. See, they're accepting them. Okay, you got this money, you got this wealth. We accept you. You're collateral success because your success. You're a billionaire, but you're gonna help some other people become billionaires too. This is why you see there are limitations in how many people are owning athletic teams. How many blacks are really owning casinos? We're steadily moving up. There are more people that are managing casinos and directing them and leading them in good direction. But where's the black-owned casino? We know who spend the most money there. And now you look, right. And now you look right now, even in this state, as they argue over the industry of legalizing marijuana in certain instances. And they had this big debate with the black farmers who finally got a buy-in. Again, it's economic. They're not worried about what it's going to do to the community. They're worried about who's going to control the cash flow. They want to cut us out of it. And I'm like, wait a minute, bro. You got billions and millions, and your family's been doing this for generations. Just because we getting a little piece of the pie, you can't handle it. You can't. It's a struggle, and I'm like, we're not even taking from you. Some of us are creating our own pieces of the pie.
Right. They just scared. Just like the Hebrews, the Egyptians were scared of them growing, so they're scared of us growing. But let's go to this. I want to get to this because we're almost to our hour. Let me go to this Sanford incident. This teenager, he was driving in the neighborhood to see a friend. Nice upscale neighborhood, you know, as if we can't be in nice upscale neighborhoods. In fact, we live in them. Okay. We own homes in nice upscale neighborhoods. Okay. But anyway, he was driving to see his friend, and a couple of white guys stopped him like he wasn't supposed to be there. Let me just play this clip and then we can talk about it at the on the other side.
Black 16-year-old gets harassed, gets assaulted by white members of a local community. Here's the video.
Go right here, buddy. Right here. Tell me what you were doing. Burning out, racing through my neighborhood. Burning out, racing through my neighborhood. You not to.
Get out my face.
I'm not in your face. Get out of my neighborhood.
Who got the gun? Who got the gun?
The guy who's got a permit to carry.
You got a gun?
You're the one that would get a gun.
All right.
Get out of this neighborhood.
All right.
Get out of this neighborhood. You don't belong here, brother.
But y'all want to smash the window? Smash the window?
Yeah, he did.
I got more video. I got the identity of most of those individuals involved, and I'm going to expose it right here. There's a 16-year-old at the center of this. That's a minor. That is a child. Okay? That's a child. You brought guns. You brought bricks. You smashed through his window. According to one report, they tried to hit him in the head. He could be dead or severely injured right now. He is a child. There's more video. Here it is.
3 grown men with kids, 16 years old, 16 years old, 15 and 16 years old. These guys are grown people right here. All 3 of them right there. That's the one right there. That's the one. Throw this stone right in here, in my car. Look at this big old stone right here.
That's the 16-year-old's father who arrived, okay? This happened in Sanford, Florida. I have more insight. Now, the cops did not arrest anyone immediately. Not ironic, is it? All of that evidence that you just saw, the police saw. They arrested no one in that community immediately. Court records would show that at least 2 men were later taken into custody. We have their information. Let's put it up. These 2 men were later taken into custody. They were the most aggressive, according to the narrative. Donald Corsi, 52 on the left, and Howard Hughes, 61 on the right, are facing felony charges. Now, Corsi was charged with weapon offenses, accusing him of sending a missile into a vehicle, a second-degree felony. Hughes was charged with first-degree misdemeanor battery, touch or strike, and both were charged with criminal mischief, accusing or of causing more than $1,000 in damage to property. That's actually a third-degree felony in Florida. They were released from the Seminole County Jail after posting bond. It is not immediately known if the woman in the towel, who has been identified as Howard's wife, is or could be facing charges. So we've identified her as Cindy Dooley Hughes. All right, big ups to the internet for making that identification for us. The 16-year-old's father, his name is CJ Jones. He posted photos of the aftermath of the incident on Facebook on June 14th. There you see it. That is clear felony criminal damage. All right.
All right, so there you have it, the incident in Sanford, right here, Sanford, Florida, in Florida. And just to report later on, big shout out to Tamika Mallory, because she posted that out, and it was a movement going for them to put pressure on McDonald's, because they found out that one of the attackers worked at McDonald's. He's actually he was a director of operations of this region for McDonald's. And let me tell you something. When she posted that and people started putting pressure on McDonald's, calling and putting in complaints, he got fired. Yes, he did. Yes, he got fired. Okay, so I just want to give you guys an update on that. Evangelist Ruby Warthen, Russell, if you can hold it, because I know you're ready to chime in on that. Evangelist Warthen, what do you think about that? Because we're free, but we're not free. And thank God justice was served, but it's still a certain mentality. We got to turn this perception around.
It was very well, first of all, it was disturbing. It's just a minor, a teenager. And when other people do things like that, other kids, they just say, well, boys will be boys, or, kids do things like that and just brush it off. But to break through the boy's window, I mean, that was just so uncalled for. I mean,
why he didn't do nothing.
No.
Driving in the neighborhood.
Well, he might have been driving a little fast through the neighborhood, but
it don't matter. He didn't do nothing to them. He didn't do nothing.
No, he didn't. I mean, he didn't commit any kind of crime. He wasn't breaking in. He wasn't, holding up anybody or doing anything criminal. He wasn't doing anything criminal. Let's put it like that. And for them to treat a child like that, what kind of impact is that going to leave on the child? That's what I think about, Do grown people really act like this? I mean, that might have been his first case of prejudice that he encountered. I lived in Florida pretty much most of my life, grew up here, but I never was called nigger until I got to New York City. And that was I believe it was in the 70s, the latter part of the 70s. And I wasn't doing anything, just walking down the street. And this guy, he came past me and he says, "Move over, nigga," and kept walking. Wow. So that was pretty much my only encounter with it, But being a young person, that's not going to leave a good memory to me in his head,
but I think he's gonna it might compel him to be a strong leader in his community. Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but what do you think about the hate? Like they were so on 10 for no reason. All of that damage. And then you can see the lady telling him you don't belong here.
Yeah, and it was a nice car too. He had a nice car that he was driving in that neighborhood. And so some people feel like you don't belong here. That's the way they feel about it. You know what I mean? It just come out just now, but that's the way they were feeling all the time when they first probably moved out there. In that neighborhood. A lot of people have done that, moved out of the neighborhood because blacks moved in. Because they
Mhm.
feel like that you're not as good or you're not equal. You
That's what
know.
happened with us. I'm not going to name the neighborhood, but my father moved us out of the hood, so to speak, and we moved into a nice upscale place. And it was few blacks in that neighborhood. But as years rolled by, you can see more blacks moved in, the whites started moving out.
That's right. And
Hmm.
those like Tiger Woods, who can afford to stay in those neighborhoods that they get in, they have more, they accept them more because of who they are, especially if you got a lot of money. Money
Right,
is a big deal. Money has always been the big deal
right.
from the beginning.
From the beginning. That's what
From
it
the
was all
beginning.
about.
Yeah, it was about that's the bottom line is the book.
Hmm.
So,
So
but
let me
if you're Oprah Winfrey, they love you. You
I mean,
know,
that's not fair, but let me go to you, Russell. How do you feel about this? Because again, the hate. I mean, they were on level 10. The boy didn't do nothing. He was just driving. Like, really?
Right, right. First, I'm completely outraged and disgusted by seeing incidents of the sort. More power to the likes of Roland Martin, Reverend Matthew Watley, Tamika Mallory, and others who helped get this out, Attorney Ben Crump, so the world can see. Again, this is where
Mhm.
our videotaping is coming in handy, that we videotape these things. So when people say, oh, we don't have these issues anymore, they try to suppress it. We see glaring issues every month now of persons. And what you had right there is here's some people, little people who feel like I'm better than you because of my skin color. But I'm not gonna come at an adult like that. It's like don't worry, I welcome that to happen. It'd been a whole different story. Y'all have seen me on the news, all right. But
Yeah.
they pick on our kids, right? They pick on our kids. They try to bully them. They try to intimidate them, and then they back off like they're the victim. If the kid would have got out and beat them with the club, and then I had to shoot them. Well, you came with a deadly weapon, deadly force, and mind you, you ain't even law enforcement. You done came
Mhm.
with deadly force, and now because I respond, you're gonna play the victim.
Right.
And then when we do the right thing and call the police even, well, did they really do anything? And it's like, hold on. If they call the police on me, you're gonna do everything, a whole background check. We better bring them in and everything else.
Mhm.
So
that's
even
right.
when you do what's right, they let you know what side they're on. And
Mhm.
to be honest, see, we have to start using this too. Just call the police continually on them when they do something. Just and let them get written up over and over and over. And and
Right.
and even when they try to press charges, you can press charges against anybody. You can,
Mhm.
whether they stick or not, but they should just keep pressing charges against them. And I'm glad that
Mhm.
they got terminated. And now it's getting again, it's a
Oh,
financial
yeah,
impact now.
McDonald's let him go. They didn't wait
So
on that.
and there's some out there who are saying, "Oh, I can't believe that affected their job." And it's like, wait a minute, you're telling me that you want that person on your job?
It
If you
needs to
acting
affect
like
their
this,
job. Yeah.
right? If I see you acting like this is in general on the street. I already know what you're doing on the low to these black people that may work for you, that are
Not
trying to get
only that,
pay increase
not only
or
that,
even
Russell.
customers.
Not only that, Russell, McDonald's know that this is representation of their company, of their
Mhm.
Right?
business. So
Oh, it is.
they're not gonna stand for that. Like it should affect your job because
It should.
like it or not, you represent your company.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And I mean, I think that these are examples that are making people pause and consider about doing this stuff now. Some people are like, well, and I'm not that. No, the question is it really changing how they feel? That I can't say for sure that they're changing how they feel. The closest to I see some people there, not every white person is the enemy by any means, and not
Right.
every black person is our friend in the cause of economic equality and freedoms across the board.
Right.
But we do have some people who hold on to ideologies that were passed down to them from generations, and even in this state where you have things like the Stop Woke bill that wants to stop people in schools from learning about Black history and learning about
History.
oppression, and as
Hmm.
well as in the workplace, they want people to stop sharing these things that are in. And I'm thinking, wait, this is a state that has said we're so ashamed of the history of the nation that we want to hide and suppress it. And
Mhm.
if that were the case historically, I would understand. But we're not suppressing the Bible. We're not
Mhm.
suppressing the Holocaust. We're
Hmm.
only going to suppress these things that happen to Black people. We don't want you to know it. We want to pretend it never existed and that people came here willingly on boats to migrate here. And
Right.
we don't even want you to have the spirit of resilience. So it's like if you're telling me I want to stop you from even being awake, you want us to be asleep. And
Hmm.
what type of stuff is that? As they take out cursive, people aren't learning cursive writing in school. If you look, the first historical letters in the history of the nation are all written in cursive. So if you don't
Hmm.
teach the people cursive, they won't know what that says.
They can't
They
read
won't
it.
know that we were. They won't know that we were founded on racism. Racism is the nation's original sin, and
Hmm.
and has yet to officially atone for it. Finally, got an apology for slavery under President Obama. Still have not, again, the economic impact. Have we gotten reparations? No. No, we have not. That is old. 40 acres and a mule is old. And while we're giving money to Ukraine and all these places around the world who are going through tough times and saying, oh, we have to support them, you just broke off, X billion, $100 billion. You certainly could break off that amount and give it to the families of people of descendants of slavery. That you could certainly do.
Hmm. Evangelist Warthen, you have anything to add on that?
Well, I'm thinking about the race riot in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Um, they were just getting around to trying to do something or compensate them in some kind of way for the wrong that they did. That was in I've been here 3 years, and maybe in the last 6, 7 years they just got around to it, you know,
Mm,
to compensate them in some kind of way. And when you look what's behind all of this, that race riot should never have been in the first place.
right.
So if you know the history of that, you know what happened when this woman claimed that a white woman claimed the black man approached her inappropriately. Didn't even say he raped her.
Yeah, I
But
don't believe that story. You believe that? I mean, I know it's been told down through the years, but
no,
like Russell said, they didn't have cameras back then, so I don't
that's
really believe
right.
that. I don't think that's the real story.
I mean, Black Wall Street was something else. It was really booming, and thriving. And I've been down there, what used to be Black Wall Street. I've been down there, and I mean, they had educated businessmen down there, and it just got all just burned down, and they or their families have never been compensated for it. They was just getting around to trying to do some kind of confrontation a few years ago. But one good thing about it, the Bible says, he that the Son sets free is free indeed. And you become free in your mind before you're free anywhere else. Okay, I'm good.
Russell, you have anything to add?
Yes, I want to say thank you again for the opportunity, Dr. Temia Brinson. Thank you, Evangelist. I'm not going to butcher your last name because I think I've been trying to butcher it the whole time. But I want to thank you for the words and insights you continue to share. The mindset for success is necessary. we can't forget that within it, one mighty thing along the way since Juneteenth and beyond has been the Black media has continued to tell our stories and share truth. Whether it's Roland Martin's show, whether it's the Mindset for Success, whether it's Frederick Douglass's newspapers that he started after he was liberated, and that the Black press is powerful, and we have to keep telling our stories and passing to our families, friends, and communities. And it is Juneteenth. It's Freedom Day. We are glad. Some people say this is a symbolic thing, but we take with it and we do with it what we can. It is Juneteenth, June 19th, 1865. So 157 years official freedom in the United States, in Galveston, Texas. It's worth it to share it with friends, share it with everybody. The youth don't know the value of everything they've seen, so they've been many are comfortable in their settings, happy with social media and living vicariously through these rap artists who are silently struggling and will be broke in 2 years. And we have to keep it going while we can. We already see laws are set up to not teach people about our history. So now we see the major owners of our Black media, and even Blacks and other major media outlets who are doing things as well. So again, thank you for the opportunity. I represent Build Black Daily, where we're empowering communities economically, socially, educationally, and civically, but keeping economics at the forefront. Thank you always. I'll see you at the top, and I will not stop. One love.
All right. Build Black Daily. And yeah, we're working on funding. So it's coming. I'm gonna put it out in the atmosphere. Funding is coming. And Evangelist Warthen, Ruby Warthen, you have anything you need to announce, or Russell, I'm coming back. Do you have anything to announce, Evangelist Warthen? Or anything you want to say?
No, I just appreciate what has been said and done here today. And I think it's so vitally important that we do teach our own children. I think it needs to start right there in the home. And that's the way the Jewish people do, from the time that their children are sitting on the laps of their fathers, they're being taught, their religion, they're being taught their history. In fact, God told them, teach it to your children, teach it to your children. And so
Mhm.
God is really concerned about us training and teaching our children. And we need to take that responsibility. I know some of us are doing it already, but more of us need to take the responsibility that if it never gets taught in the school, that it's getting taught in this house, it's getting taught in the home.
Right.
So that's about it. I mean, there are other things that we could say, but I think our time is just about up. So I've enjoyed being here. Thank you for inviting me.
And
And I
real
enjoy,
quick, you have the Widows Among Us ministry.
yeah,
I know you meet online or whatever, or you have your prayer.
we meet on it's on the prayer line, and we meet every first. Well, we meet, excuse me, every Monday of the month, and it's from 11 o'clock to 11:30. And we invite widows to come join us. We encourage one another. We have a teaching session. We pray for one another, and we love one another, and we're just there for one another. It's just a small group of us just come together faithfully every Monday at 11 o'clock, and
Okay.
that's it.
Okay. And
Um,
Russell, I wanted to go back to you real quick. I know you made your announcement and everything, but um, I'm so proud of Orlando. I'm not in Orlando right now. I'm gonna move back in. I'm still in the metropolitan area, but I'm gonna move back on the west side. Um, eventually. But I'm so proud of Orlando because before I lived practically in the area all my life, right? And it
Hmm.
wasn't this much celebration before. And you know what I noticed the difference is Black officials. We have
Yeah.
more of us in office. So now you see more of a celebration of our history, and you see more of a coming together of our community. Right quick, how do you feel about that? Because I'm just noticing, I just want to take a moment because I noticed the difference over the years.
Yes, yes, I think it's wonderful that we're embracing Juneteenth as a whole collective area. Some people did it individually, some people did it as separate groups, and now everybody's doing it in grand fashion. It's a
Mhm.
wonderful thing. It should be keep getting embraced. And also we do hope that people start getting that paid holiday off from work because it is a
Mhm.
national federal holiday. It should be acknowledged as such. Um, well, thank you again, Evangelist Ruby Warthen, for these wonderful words, and you're doing great things. And I'm going to get more information about this ministry you have for widows because I think it's so worthy and necessary to uplift people who've lost their mate. Um,
Mhm.
but I think further an announcement: everybody share this, repost this, retweet this. This is education. This is Black media. Even if you got your own thing going, share this. It's not competition. It's all raising the bar of excellence, and we all get there together. If we keep the mindset for success, we know the only competition that we're having is looking ourselves in the mirror every day. And I just ask you to ponder as we leave: are you building Black daily? Are you modeling excellence? Are you raising your children? Are you being a good uncle, aunt, grandparent? Are you being a good educator? Are you being a good example to push people forward? Are you supporting Black businesses when given the opportunity, quality Black businesses at that? And we want you to continue to do that. And while some are doing it this weekend, keep supporting our Black businesses. www.buildblackdaily.com can help you out in Central Florida. Thank you again, Dr. Brinson, for the opportunity. One love.
All right, BillBlackDaily.com. You guys can go to the website and check it out. And again, like and share, like and share. Um, if they missed it, they can go ahead and run it again. And like I said, we're going to get funding and we're going to blast it out when we get funding. So we're going to be just like Glenn Beck and the rest of them. Roland Martin, we're going to fund our own stuff and advertise and send stuff out. Make sure it gets to the people. Okay. So, guys, we're here every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Facebook Live and also YouTube Live. Be sure to tune in every week. And then it also re-airs on Kingdom Purpose TV, on Roku TV, Apple TV, Fire Stick, Google TV. If you have those, go ahead and search for Kingdom Purpose TV, then save the channel, and we're on every Monday night at 9 p.m. Okay? But until next week, you guys be blessed.